Welcome to another episode of Driving to the Riz. That was a big puddle.
Oh.
Because we're actually driving.
Yes.
So this is like throwback edition.
Yeah, with the sounds and everything.
Yeah,
we probably won't have time to edit the sounds right away, so if you're listening to this on Monday, you can check again probably a couple of days later so that Sandra has the time to edit and make the sound better. Because there's going to be a lot of background noise as we drive in the storm.
Yeah, we're on our way to Fossil Beach to check our
camper.
Make sure we put our awning in, which I think we didn't. Because it's supposed to blow 60 miles an hour, which...
Yes, that's going to destroy
kind of enough wind to rip your awning.
Yeah. And also we went to the boats.
Yep, had to go check the boats on the res and tie them up, double up the ropes. Go see my daughter to help her tie up her boat better.
Yep.
Had a nice, lovely chat.
Yep.
And it was an interesting orchestration, I gotta say, because today's forecast is for driving rain, 60 mile an hour winds, increasing from noon, which we were there at 2, up till, I think, tomorrow morning. It'll be blowing 60, 70, and it'll be easing off like toward the last part, later into Tuesday. Today's Sunday, right?
Today's Sunday. Yeah, it is. Yeah, Sunday today.
Okay, yeah, Sunday today until tomorrow, Monday, which is when you're listening to this. It's supposed to be blowing harder and harder and harder, more and more and more and more rain.
And when we were at the Summer Shack,
we were at the Summer Shack.
It was blowing really hard.
Yeah, we were sitting there and we were getting ready to have Sunday dinner, invite everybody over, and talking to your daughter.
Yep.
And then
the wind came.
So
we checked the weather buoys.
The awning started flopping in the wind. I had to roll it up. Tiny was, oh my God, what's going on, Dad? Yeah. And Romeo too, right?
Yeah.
Actually, Romeo got so wet, I had to let him in. And he's a water dog.
Yes.
So we packed ourselves, canceled dinner, and said, we got to go check the boats. And what happened when we got to the boats, honey?
Just before we got there, the sun came out and we got no clouds, no rain. It was beautiful.
No clouds, no rain, no wind.
No wind.
It's like a Sunday afternoon.
And now that we're driving away, it's like a couple of hours later now, but I mean, you can see the leaves and branches on the ground everywhere, but it's still sunny for us. Raining a little bit, not too much. But yeah, it's like a Gaia respite, you know. We love you, and we're going to keep you safe on the road. Tie up your boat, check on your camper, and when you get home, then probably all hell will break. Well, break loose, probably, yeah. Yeah. It's quite amazing.
It is quite amazing. That was a really, really excellent orchestration, because by all rights, it should be raining and windy like crazy right now.
It should, yeah, totally.
And it's gonna be.
It's not.
And the curious thing, you see the rivers? We're driving right by the river right now. I've not, maybe I never looked, but I've never seen the river running yellow with leaves before.
I know, it's so beautiful.
It is so interesting.
Yeah.
So like
the river,
all the leaves are yellow, and the wind's blowing so hard it's blowing all the leaves off into the river, and the river is actually literally yellow.
Like gold.
Golden, sparkly river.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Really beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
Well, why are we so late with our podcast this week? Because usually we should have recorded this Thursday anyways.
Yeah, Wednesday and Thursday usually. Yeah. Well, this week we did some work. I haven't done this type of work for quite a while actually, and usually it can sometimes last a day, 2 days, sometimes a week, sometimes a month, but I haven't done it for a long time, and this time it was requested. I thought we were going to do it next week, but when I was scanning the days, I can't remember who I was talking with at the time, and we were scanning the days to when to start. Yeah. And it was like now.
I remember we were talking about it. Like the request came in. Where does that request even originate?
The requests is the Human Collective and Gaia, and mostly the Human Collective, I would say at this point.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I was looking at it, thinking, okay, usually I don't really need that much information. I go into that altered state and just get on with it, whatever it is that's presented. And I do have, like, as a mystic, I do have all the things in place so that it's not like a hijacking to hurt me or others, right?
Oh, that's good.
Because a lot of people think that the requests are coming from somewhere high frequency, but it isn't. And there's ways to figure it out. One of them is, if it's fear-based, it's low frequency, it's not a high frequency request. If it's going to hurt your body...
Can you give an example of what a fear-based request would be?
Like, if you don't do this, you're going to die, or some other people are going to die, or something bad is going to happen.
The request comes and you feel it as a message that if you don't do this, you're going to die, or everyone's going to die, or something.
Or something's going to get hurt.
Negative is going to happen.
Yeah.
So basically manipulating you into doing XYZ based on fear, in a sense?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, got it.
So if it's fear-based, it's not high frequency.
So then you said there was another example? Hurting your body or yourself?
Yeah, if it hurts your physical body, then it's not high frequency.
But haven't you been requested to do work by Gaia, and the chance of you surviving was like 1% or something?
No, it was very low.
Isn't
like
that,
24% or 27%. I asked what my survival rate would be, and I was given the 27% number at the time. When I looked at it, I said, whoa, well, I'm not going to do that, right? And I said, well, is there anything we can do to make that a higher percentage? And I got the response, yes, absolutely. And for my shock and surprise, it was personal processing. I had to deal with my stuff in order for that stuff not to be used against me during that work.
So it is possible that you can get a request that could cause your body harm. That is the low frequency one?
If you're not, that's why you need training to do mystical work, because that's one of the things that you do. You ask, what's this about? What's my survival rate? You know, it's not fear-based, but it can get yourself hurt. And in the past, when I didn't have support, I hadn't attracted support from, like, for example, the support that you give is, you know, like you make sure that the place is good, that I get enough to eat during it, and get good rest and sleep and water, right? Mm-hmm. Good air, and protecting the environment, then the body can suffer quite a bit, because when you're doing this type of work, you're not really capable or able to cook for yourself or drink water or whatever, you know. Yeah. It's not easy. So because it's hard to move around, because pretty much you're not in your physical body very much, you know. And so it's like that's part of it. Okay. You make sure that your physical body is going to be safe, and all these things. That's part of it. That's part of that training, and because if you get a request that is not fear-based, right, like you said, like the one when I did work in Spain, it wasn't fear-based, but if I hadn't been trained to ask, you know, what's my survival rate, because it was before 2011, so
there was a lot of battle.
There was a battle, right, and that was my agreement to do battle too, right. And if you didn't ask what's my survival rate, you wouldn't be prepared. You wouldn't be properly prepared. It would be like going out into the woods with no shelter, no food, no water, you know. So if somebody says, can you go into that mountain and collect water from that stream up there in that mountain? And you go, okay, and just set off without proper shoes or clothes. Do you see? It's on you. So going to the mountain to get that water is not dangerous or fear-based, but it's on you to prepare yourself.
You should be prepared, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're going to go do something, if you're going to be going up the mountain to get water, you probably better bring a water jug.
Exactly.
You probably better bring a coat. You probably better do a pack and a way to camp.
Maybe a tent, yeah, exactly.
Although, when you're doing work if Gaia said, hey, can you go there and get some water off that mountain, you'd think that should be your ally and not put you in a giant storm, right?
Right.
So how much preparedness do you really need? Doesn't seem fair to ask you and then assume you know all the answers.
Well, you're supposed to know the answer, ask the right questions to get the right answers. And also, to tell you the truth, the human collective and Gaia, they're not omnipotent. They're powerful and they're caring and loving, but they're part of us. And they're not necessarily familiar with your own physical body strengths or what you know already and what you don't know already. Right? So in a different situation, if they had said, okay, go to Spain and do all this work, right? If I had not asked, okay, so was my survival right? And what can I do about it to make it better? Then I wouldn't have done that work and I would have probably not survived it, right? And
which would have been not doing the work because you wouldn't have been able to get it done.
Exactly, right? But
so
on a different thing, as I started getting more experienced with this, I would go in and look at any type of programs or negativity that I may be carrying myself that could be used against me during certain types of work, and I would work on those before I did this stuff. you know?
Is it fair to say that the request is like a broadcast, and then there are basically those who would be capable of doing it are receiving that broadcast, and then those individuals might get specific instruction if they decide to, I'll listen and agree to this request, and then request more details about it. So it's like, can someone go up to the mountain and get the water? Does it mean, like, can Inelia, you go up on the mountain and get water?
Because you're the only one. Exactly. Yeah.
So the reason for requesting more data is because it's more of a broadcast. The collective's like, we as a group need water from there. Somebody can go get it.
Yeah, something like that. And I think,
I could go get it. I'd like to go on an adventure. Yeah. I hear your message and I agree. What about weather and stuff? Oh, yes. Well, yeah, you will definitely need to be prepared for the weather. It's cold.
Yes, exactly.
And it's icy, actually. So if you don't have crampons and ice axes, your survival likelihood is about 1%. So
exactly.
It's better to be prepared.
Yeah. But
That's
a mountaineer,
the nature of it.
Right. would know that already. So they wouldn't even have to ask.
True.
Do you see?
I do. I'm just trying to reconcile the request, thinking that it's a request. That's an individual, one person go to X, Y, Z. Mm-hmm. And requests means the requester should know who is being requested, right? I'm requesting a not mountaineer to go to the mountain, so I'm going to need to make sure they know to wear clothes.
Exactly, yeah.
So I guess there's the nuances to it.
Yeah, totally.
And I suppose the more mystically trained you are, the more likely you are to receive these requests, and the more likely you are to receive the requests, also the more likely you are to be prepared to ask the correct questions.
Exactly, and so also sometimes requests come and you're not compatible with them, and you have to say, no, sorry, I can't do that.
Right.
I'm not compatible with that. And compatible as in, if you're supposed to go and solve a mathematical equation and blah, 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 and, you can't do maths, you're not compatible with it, you're not going to be able to do it. Right?
I see. So, the nature of this request was the human collective in Gaia.
Mm-hmm.
And sit for, I remember you said something about you needed to sit for a week or 6 days or something along those lines.
Like it was 4 days. No, it was 5 days and 4 nights or something.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And it'll be start sometime in the next few weeks.
In the next week or two.
Yeah, and we looked at the schedules, and I remember we had like a driving trip. And
had to be done before that.
And we had another thing. So well, the best time is in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then that night we went to bed and we woke up. It's like, it's now.
Yes.
There was a significant event. Oh, look at that. Double, triple.
Wow.
A double, triple rainbow. Are you kidding me?
Double, triple rainbow. I don't see the triple, right? 1, 2. I see a double rainbow.
My God, that's intense, that rainbow.
Yeah, it's really beautiful.
We might have to take a picture. Hopefully it'll be going when we get to Fossil Beach, which is only in a mile or two.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, so that's how it works.
The next morning, middle of the night, when I woke up, I knew it was like now, not in a week. We have to do it right now.
Yeah. That is correct.
And so, what did we do? We did it right now.
Yeah.
You remember?
Yeah, we did.
It was intense.
Yeah.
So, it's an interesting set of circumstances that occur when you're sitting. When you're sitting in an altered state, you're generating a field around you that others who are...
Do you mean me? Or
Yeah.
you as in generally one
You.
sits?
You
Okay,
specific.
me. Okay, Inelia
I'm
sitting.
sure other people maybe have other also similar or different, or I don't know what effects.
Mhm.
I know I've sat in meditation with and are sat by other people who are meditating, and
Mhm.
I have noticed there's sometimes some people have an effect, or it feels like they have an effect on the sitting that I'm doing.
Mhm.
In your case, definitely. The world turns gold and purple, and the edges of it, if you're looking, gets a little bit streaky. And if you were to put a sensation with your fingers, you'd be like, I could probably run my fingers through the wall, like the wall is made out of jello or jello-y water or something. It's like more malleable, more
Yeah.
transient, less permanent, less solid. Those kind of things, I guess.
Yeah.
Plus, you can close your eyes and open them, and 1 minute went by, and you can close your eyes again and open them, and that's an hour later,
Yeah.
and it feels like the same. Or you can close your eyes again. Fred said he opened his eyes, saw who was there, closed his eyes, opened his eyes, and everybody was different. What happened?
Yeah, stuff change.
Everybody's different. There's different people here.
Yeah. People came in and out of the room.
Yeah, while he had closed
So
his eyes and
changes.
then opened them again, people had left the room, and new people had come in the room. And he wasn't aware of a time difference between his closing his eyes and opening them.
Yeah.
But obviously he closed his eyes and it was closed for a while.
Mhm.
Time changed. Anyways, you mentioned to talk with me now, and walk with me now, and our community, that it was a golden opportunity to come sit with you if you want to take advantage of this situation,
Yep. Yep.
right?
Yeah.
At an individual or a collective or a supportive
Mm-hmm.
supportive role.
Exactly.
And I'm happy to say a lot of people showed.
They
Everybody
did.
showed up even.
Yeah, they did. And one of the things to consider is that when I do this work, it's not about sitting down and meditating or not meditating, or processing or not processing, or just twiddling your thumbs or holding energies or whatever.
Yep.
It's not about those things, right? It's like it's a different type of work. I would call it spiritual work or mystical work or shamanic work.
Shamanic work.
Depends on your culture, what you want to call it. Even I think that people that have seen it happen before, and it was in a convent, right? So it's like prayer work.
Right.
So whatever it is that your culture or your religion or your upbringing or your set of beliefs names it, it's fine, because you know when you're in it.
You know.
Yeah. When you're in it. And people came, some meditated, some did processing work, some did all sorts of things, but they sat quietly, and that's what you do. You sit quietly. And why is it that I said, come in, sit quietly, whisper, don't draw attention to yourself? Because the closest I can explain on the physical plane that it feels like, on the physical level, the closest as I can describe it, is if you imagine when you've had like a really, really, really deep sleep.
Yeah.
And the moment that after that sleep that you open your eyes and your body's still within that paralysis, because the body's release this thing, they become paralyzed so that you don't hurt yourself when you're sleeping.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And then you kind of start moving a little bit, but
hypnagogic state or something like that.
Yeah, so you start moving a little bit because you have to do it slowly because your body's in that deep state of sleep still, right? You're just coming out of it. That is how it feels in the 3D world. That's how it feels for me to like reach out, grab a glass of water and drink it, or walk and move my legs. Twice a day we moved our legs, went for a short little walk, but that was necessary because your physical body needs to be looked after. It has to move, it has to get that circulation going and be healthy.
I do remember you said before you did some mystical work like this where you were alone in your apartment, closed your eyes and you open them and the sun was up, and you close them and you open and the sun was down,
Yes.
or something like that. What is that?
Yeah, because there was no support, I didn't get support system, so linear time stopped, it's irrelevant. So your physical body will sit there for hours, and you don't know if it's breathing, you don't know if it's drinking water or it hasn't eaten for sure. So that's the type of things you need to look after, And as the years go by, you get more knowledgeable, and you fortunately can train yourself through, trial and error, really, because there isn't anything out there. I mean, I teach these things, but I haven't met anybody else who teaches these things. So, it's like you look after yourself and you have that state, but why does it feel that way? Because you're doing work that transcends time and space, right? And so that's why it gets dislodged. You get dislodged a little bit from your physical body, because your physical body is what anchors you here to time and space.
Ah, I see.
But that doesn't mean you neglect it, do you see?
Right.
The more you look after
at your
it,
peril, right?
exactly. The more you look after it during this process, the better and more effective and capable you are. Huh. And I think that is why you often hear about gurus in India, or these yogis in India, that have a whole team of people around them looking after their physicality, or their physical selves. And I think that's why they do it, because they know they've been doing this for thousands of years,
They do have a school to teach you how.
They do have schools where they can learn how to do this stuff, and the support team and everything to carry it out,
Speaking of
Here
India,
in the West, not so much.
Speaking of India, aren't we getting a little drenching of the Ganges?
Yes, yeah, isn't it
that.
amazing? Because the storms that are hitting the Americas, North America at least, I don't know about the rest, but in North America right now, it's right from India.
The moisture is coming from India.
Yeah, in India. And it felt that way, it's like, we're being blessed by the Ganges.
Holy water of the Ganges.
Holy water of the Ganges, yeah.
This is remarkable.
It was really remarkable. And, the nature of the work, it's very, very large. We'd probably have a year to be able to express it all. But the essence of it is related to embodying the light paradigm. And, I can speak many different languages so that people can understand this. Not it's in French and English and that, I don't. I mean, I speak Spanish and English in that language, but in language of belief and vocabulary, lexicon, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that energy of the new paradigm, which is the highest frequency expression of you, the person, is also described in many religions and belief systems in many different ways, like Pachamama or Gaia, divine masculine, the divine feminine, or God the Father, or Mary the Divine Mother,
Virgin Mary,
the Virgin Mary, all these things.
A lot of different
divine
languages.
Energies, that high frequency divine energy is expressed in all these different languages. Oh, I'm pausing. Let's pause for a minute. Yeah, let's pause for a minute while you get the things, the gates open.
Pausing for a second. Right. Good pause. We had to, check our camper to have a little Fossil Beach minute.
Yes.
So we were literally there only a minute, and everything was perfect there.
It was.
Well,
all is well.
All is well. So we're going to go back to the palace.
Yes.
The Res Palace, as we call it.
Yes.
The Res Palace, not on a Res.
Not right now.
It's on our Res.
Yeah.
Anyways, we were talking about the energies that are described variously around the world as Divine Mother, or etc., etc. You can go on.
Yeah. Divine Father, Lord our Jesus Christ, and all these things. One of the things that when people say that they have communicated with Jesus Christ, I say, which one? And people think it's really funny, because it's like, what? Well, there's only one, right? But actually, funnily enough, for a religion, which is the Christian religions, but mostly I'm talking about the Catholic religion, which I am more familiar with than other Christian religions. If you say Jesus, they in Seville alone, I think they have hundreds of Jesuses and hundreds of Virgin Marys, and they all have different names, personalities, statues. And it's funny because it's a religion that you're not supposed to worship idols or different gods,
Right.
But they have hundreds and hundreds, just Seville alone.
I have noticed
Spain,
the idols in the churches look different. It's like, hey, that's a different one.
And they have different names. They are, yes.
They call them Jesus or whatever.
No, they always have a name.
They do?
Always have a name, yeah.
What do they have names
Jesus of the eternal
or
suffering,
Jesus of Nazareth, or Jesus
the
Savior.
Savior, Jesus, the whatever. They have all sorts of different names for different ones. And they all look different, right? At least in the churches in Spain.
Yep.
And but they're all, the nature of this work. Let's go back to that, right?
Okay.
And why we're talking about these effigies and idols and the different Jesuses and Marys and the different expressions of what people believe to be God, God,
Yep.
There's so many religions on the planet, and some of them have a lot of gods, and including, like I'm saying, I mean, they don't call them gods, but they're an expression of the same, all these different Jesuses and Marys all over the world. And then you have the saints as well in the Catholic religion, and then you have the archangels, right? And what was that?
I don't know. I haven't heard that for a long time. That was quite loud.
That was very loud. All right. I think we fixed that little noise. Sorry about that.
Excuse the noise. I know it's difficult, but it's better this than never.
Than not doing this podcast. Yeah.
We got to do it now.
Yeah. So anyways, as I was saying, there's all these different expressions of this energy. And for many years, all these expressions, and I'm talking thousands of years here, have been hijacked by us, the human collective, to have a light-dark experience. And to have a light-dark experience, we absolutely need to have an illusion of separation, right? We need that illusion of separation because without it, we cannot have a light-dark experience. We can only have a light experience. And then we go back again to this in a circle, right? To what it means to do this work in this week. What was it about?
Yeah, what was it about? We were sitting.
Yes. So the work that I did was to do, and many others, I'm sure this, like you said earlier, this call went out, and people who can hear it and able to do it have done it around the planet, I'm sure of it. And it's about the embodiment of that energy, which we, in our language, maybe people can say is the language of New Age or whatever, is to embody the new paradigm. I mean, I haven't heard anybody else. Maybe it's the language of Inelia Benz, to embody the new paradigm. It means to become and be that energy again. And I say again very markedly because it's not something that ever went away, but it did get covered up in a lot of stuff, a lot of negative stuff, because you were having the light-dark experience, and that includes dark, right?
Right.
So you had to, as light beings, implement and grab onto a lot of darkness to be able to experience that experience. And this time, it's about removing all that, right? Because when I looked at it, I was looking at it, and at the same time, when all this was happening, we watched a video by the Archbishop
Vigano.
Yeah, Vigano. And he uses his Catholic language to express what we've been expressing in our Inelia language, or New Age language, or whatever. But it's the same, he's saying the same things. And one of the things that I was looking at, when I was looking at it, I'm thinking, well, sure, like we do this work and we embody it, but we can't wait anymore. It's okay, so we have 5 days. Alrighty then, let's see if we can do this. where do we begin? And it came up, in order to embody that, and is to have a pure heart. And I was like, oh, what does that mean?
What is a pure heart?
What is a pure heart? And I thought, oh, that's going to be the first foul, because we don't know what a pure heart is, but also the words pure heart has been, the dark side has attempted to hijack those words and put all sorts of meanings on it, all sorts of negative meanings onto it, like sacrificial and innocence and all these other things, which is not. It's nothing to do with that. So the first order of business was to define within ourselves, and something that resonated as truth within us, what does it mean to be of pure heart? So I set my mystical students and my private students on the homework of do this.
Yep.
Right, you're one of them, and you know, in the group, and like, first of all, define it, and then achieve it. I haven't told you that second part yet.
Achieve
Surprise!
it. Our new homework is achieve it. Yeah, baby. Well, we did have a great deal of interesting time experience doing the homework we did as a group. And we started, and half hour went by, and we finished. But it was an hour and a half, almost 2.5. And we wanted to go in and sit with you.
Right.
So we wanted to get our homework done quickly together.
Yeah.
We did get it done to, I think, all of our satisfactions, but I think that it brought up a lot of questions too. And those questions were really interesting to navigate. I would suggest, if people listening are interested in navigating that definition of pure heart, they go to Walk With Me Now and start a thread on it, right?
Yes.
And we can examine our seeings together.
Exactly, yeah. And I thought, oh, okay, sure, why not? Let's do that. And I've often mentioned in the past that this is, as a soul construct, a soul being, it's my first incarnation, my first expression in physicality ever. I mean, I'm not even saying Earth, like ever. And I also explained that my physical body elemental, and if you don't know what that means, you can go to my website, ineliabenz.com, and do a search, and you'll find a lot of information about what I mean by that. My physical body elemental has had multiple incarnations on Earth with different souls, right?
Right.
So my physical body elemental carried a lot of, we might call them stains from not just this lifetime, which he had plenty of, but also from different past lifetimes. Carried through lifetime after lifetime, these bundles of negativity, fear, guilt, greed, anger, all these type of things, you know. It's like egoic structures, huge egoic ones, carried through lifetime after lifetime, and in this lifetime also developed and, you know, used to experience that like dark paradigm. And that was one level of it, and the other level, you becoming processing all that, right, and releasing it very, very quickly, because we only had like 5 days. But also there was a level of I as environment, the rivers and the trees and the grass and the stones and the plastic and the buildings and the cities and the sky and the ocean and you know, the animals, the bugs, everything. And that took a couple of days, because as a light dark paradigm experiential setup or playing board, Earth had to also do that, hold on to those bundles. So I don't know how long it took for that to be processed and
I remember one morning,
removed.
One evening, you were like, "Wow, that's a heavy day."
Yeah, that was probably that one.
Yeah. I remember feeling like we got beat up and tired, and Fred said it for him it was like 2x4 slapped him around a little bit. He was sort of couldn't move. Yeah,
I don't know what other people did, because it's not necessarily what their higher selves brought them to do.
Understood.
But I can just tell you what I did, right? What I was doing. That was part of it. And then another day, it was society and different parts of society. And one of them, I remember one of them that was very, very fascinating to me, because I've always been fascinated by religions, was religions. So I visited with religion in different parts of the world, and it was fascinating. And it's like I saw that the different languages that each religion uses. I'm not talking about, like English and Latin and Hindu or whatever. So I'm not talking about that type of language. I'm talking about the lexicon they use to express the same things, right? The divine energies, the mother, the father, the how they perceive it as mother and father and stuff like that. And it's very why they come through that way, And what does it mean to us? Well, most religions call us children, the children of God or whatever, or the children of the divine feminine. And that's part of the whole be children on the planet type of paradigm. You can't be empowered and self-govern as a species if you're children. Okay? So there was many, many things, including the hijacking that went from our growth and our enlightenment and our expression of awareness and our divinity to my enlightenment, my progress, and my expansion of awareness. It was a hijacking that happened to stop the whole process from evolving, right?
Yeah, sort of throw a monkey wrench into the whole works.
Yeah. So there has been resistances by ourselves, the human collective, to making this huge step in evolution, which is to step up and embody that energy, including the hijackings of religions and of belief systems, and the going from the we do it as a species to I, me, and myself, and all these type of things, right? Divide and conquer. And the main one, of course, is fear. So anything that your religion teaches that tells you to be afraid is not your divine masculine or feminine, or the goddess or the god or the
Jesus
Mary,
or
Jesus, God saying those words. Is actually the opposite, which in Christianity would be called the devil. Those are that energy's words, right? Those people's words.
So if you're reading scripture, Bible stuff, whatever, and there's the wrathful, the vengeful, the fearful, the betrayed, all of that is inserted by
the devil.
The devil.
But what we name the devil, right? We name the devil.
In that conceptual framework.
Yeah. So in that framework that you just mentioned, an interesting little factoid, and I'm talking directly to Catholics here, or people who were brought up in that culture or religion. What I saw was, like the Old Testament, the New Testament, and all these things are written by men, right? What I saw was I learned when I was young, I was fascinated by the stories of Jesus as I was growing up. Fascinated. I would read everything I could, right? Because I found the whole thing fascinating to me. Fascinating. And I remember that there was a scene where Jesus goes into the desert and is accosted by the devil, who tries to persuade him to go dark side, right?
Oh, yeah.
So the temptation, I think they call it a temptation of Jesus or something like that. I can't remember the vocabulary.
Temptation of Christ, I think.
Yeah, something like that. I can't remember the actual vocabulary they use, but it was this scene, and as I remember as a child, I kept seeing it in my mind, right? It's like, wow, that he was alone. He went alone, again, divide and conquer, be alone, right?
Yeah.
Lone wolf, out into the desert where you get dehydrated, right?
Yeah.
Hungry and all these
hungry.
things. So you're vulnerable.
Not sleeping good out there either.
Not sleeping good. And then you get accosted by the devil, who tries to tempt you out of being good.
Being light.
Being light, yeah. And he offered Jesus a lot of stuff and also threatened him and the usual things that the dark side does. They try to seduce you. They try to threaten you, right? They try to attack you and all these type of things. But if you don't agree with any of them, they cannot touch you. But this happened to Jesus, right?
Okay.
And then that was the end of it. That was the end of the story. But when I looked at it now, I saw that the devil didn't give up, right? Mm-hmm. He gave up on Jesus in this conceptual, I don't know if it's symbolic or real story, right? But he didn't give up on Jesus. He went for the apostles.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and the
workers or worker bees.
He went for them. He went for them. And he got a lot of them. He didn't get all of them. Some of them stayed pure in light. But he got a lot of them. And you can tell which ones he got. Because then when they were channeling Jesus or remembering things, or when they said, and God said, or the angel said, their words are filled with those type of things. Be afraid of God, fear, vengeful, on all of these things,
etc., etc.
Right. And it's not just those ones. I think those are called the New Testament, the ones that the apostles did. I'm not sure.
Maybe?
Gospels, the New Testament. But there was an Old Testament, an old Bible, right? And it was full of that stuff too. And if you look at it, the same thing happened. That these people that were bringing forth this information were hijacked. And I can tell you right now that any energy, feeling, godliness or whatever that says to people, go and kill that person because they're sinners or they're not believers or they're witches or they're whatevers, is not God. It's not the Divine Father. It's not the light energy. It's not the divine universal intelligence. It's not. It's impossible for it to be that. It is always, always, always the darkness that came into this universe for us, and we invited it into Earth to have a light-dark experience. So if you go back to all those books and all those teachings of your culture or your religion, and you strike out, right, you rub out, everything has to do, and is based on fear, then you have what's left, which is closer to the original message of the Spirit.
The message of divinity.
Divinity.
I think divinity is a nice
light.
term.
Yeah,
Light.
yeah. So
light source essence.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So so that was, that's part of it. That day, working with religions, that was part of it. Looking at it and seeing it, and also because, we are grown, we grew in these type of situations, and I've always had an aversion for people who talk about, God and Jesus, and I mean, I respect their language, right? But I didn't really like what they meant by it. And that was part of it, because that day, especially dealing with religions, I had to process my personal righteousness, right? Being right and they're wrong, that type of energy.
Right.
So this deeper understanding was huge. And I mean, I'm sure that other people dealt with other religions, but the ones that I saw and perceived and worked with was mainly the Catholic one, but I did a few of the Hindu religions as well, and a couple of the Buddhist schools, main energy lines that impregnate into all of the different Buddhist schools. A couple of those, and some shamanic belief systems throughout the Americas. And I've never been given the work of Africa or Asia. Other people do that, although, Buddhism does go into Asia, I suppose. But yeah, so that was a day of religions, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes the morning would have one, and then the afternoon would have another. to look at, but it's about our hearts and our minds and our energy and our emotional body, and pulling all of those pollutions out of it, pulling out all of those negative bundles out of it, because then we can be and embody that beautiful, beautiful, beautiful light. Hallelujah.
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 So saith thee.
Yeah. I was so funny because for some reason I am the Alpha and the Omega.
Yeah, I remember.
And the beginning and the end came coming up in several ways, a lot during the first couple of weeks now, 2-3 weeks now. It's been coming in, and I've been playing with it, and we have a lot of dogs. And when I tell one off, and I will say to them, I'm the Alpha, like Alpha dog. They need an Alpha, dogs do. And now I was saying I'm the Alpha and the Omega.
And the dogs listen well.
Yeah. But joke aside, here's the thing. So that's one of the sayings of the Catholic Church, that God would present himself and that would be his name. And I think also Jesus was named that way, named him or himself that way. I'm the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. Which is a couple of funny little factoids, that they couldn't have possibly said that because they didn't speak Greek, right? And the Alpha and the Omega just represent the first and last letters of the Greek alphabet. And so they wouldn't have said that, but it was translated that way to express, not literally, but meaningfully, what this person was saying.
Right.
Or this being was, what this being meant. Which is I'm the beginning and the end. Basically, I'm everything, right? And
everything,
here's the little
A to Z.
Yeah.
Everything A to Z.
Yeah. And here's the little nugget, right?
Okay.
You are also that because you're part of that. You might be the D or the F or whatever, right?
Uh-huh.
Or the A or even the Omega, but you are part of it. So that's what we come back full circle to the concept of oneness. Right? And the high frequency source energy oneness, which is what we're embodying back on Earth. We're bringing it back. Mm-hmm. So anyway, that was a little summary. I mean, just light fluff over. Oh yeah, so another one that was very important is sex. Sex has been corrupted and oppressed and used by the dark side for thousands of years to control people and physical body elementals. Sex is an extremely powerful drive, very, very powerful drive, because that's how you make new babies, new bodies. That's how you go forth in time and space. And so it's a massive amount of energy as well, because it's our connective energy that's there too, and that's why it's so corrupted and perverted, right, in a lot of ways, through pornography and through torture and rape and the degradation of women and children and men, and it's just a massive way of controlling dark beings as well.
A giant lever.
Yes, huge.
A giant lever with a huge amount of energy attached to it.
Yes, huge. So the whole day was dedicated just for that,
Wow.
And it was massive, It's like, whoa, I didn't know this was so big. I think that the only time when I had a doubt, and that doubt was also part of that program, was when we were dealing with the sex pollution.
Yeah.
Because in its purest form, it has nothing to do with pornography or rape or degradation of children and women and men. Nothing. It's not even related to those things. So, it was interesting. So there was a lot of stuff that got seen and perceived and looked at and processed. And it's not like the belief of somebody's going to do it for you. I didn't do that work for you, right? I did it for for my own embodiment of the light paradigm, but also as a map. If one person can do it, anybody can do it on the planet, right? You might take less days. Maybe you'll take 1 day and you'll do it, right? If you haven't burdened yourself with a lot of negative energies through your lives, it's going to be very fast. But if you have burdened yourself, it might take a little bit longer, right? But it's something that now you know you can do, because I know that at least one person did it, right, on the planet, and if I tap into it, and I know that a lot more did too, answered the call and did it, right? But how does that call come? In all sorts of different ways. And one of the ways is why you're listening to this podcast. The call is out. Are you going to answer it? Are you going to do it, right? And be careful and be aware that it's not about you suffering, and it's not about you hurting yourself, and it's not about you paying your penance or you're paying for your sins. It's not about that. Those are the corruption of it. It's about processing it. And if you don't know, well, how do I do that process? You download the field processing exercise and you use that. That's what I used, right? I allow those energies to express and be there and own them. Own them, because it's so easy. So easy when you're seeing something that you say, for example, you feel guilty because you slapped your best friend when you were 3 or something, right? I don't know. Just making it up, right?
Right.
You feel terribly guilty because that person then went on to commit suicide. You know, you feel that guilt, right? And you allow it to exist. And you understand it. And you see the situation. But, if you start making excuses for it, it's not going to be released. It's going to be kept. So if you start saying things such as, but I was only 3, I was innocent and I didn't know any better, boom, it stays with you. Right? It's all true. Yes, of course, you're only 3 and you're a child and you shouldn't have done it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of course it's true. But that's not the point. You did it. You orchestrated its execution. You did it. So that's when you say, okay, it happened. I deal with it. I'm sorry, absolutely, if you want to express that in yourself. And one of the things is that you release it. You don't make excuses for it. And you could say, well, if I was in that situation in this moment, would I do it? And you go, no, I would not, right?
No way.
So that means, of course, you wouldn't. And it's fine. So you release it. You don't make excuses for it. Once you start making excuses, or you could say, well, you know, my parents always hit me and I learned from them, so you're blaming another, right? You put blame on another.
Making your circumstance external.
Exactly. You make your circumstances external. It's not going to be released. It's going to stay with you.
You basically gave your power away to releasing it.
Exactly. You can't release it because it was something else that did it.
They have to release it.
Exactly. So those are the little tricks, you know, that you can use during your work, when you do this work.
Yeah. Or do you think you'll be able to put a roadmap together? Or is everyone's circumstance going to be unique?
This is it. This is the roadmap. And of course, everybody's circumstance is going to be different. You probably won't need to spend 5 days in an altered state to do it, right? You probably do it, you know, when you after work or first before work or carry on in your daily life. But consciously aware, and even the intent, because without the intent, none of this can happen. But even having that intent is going to work for you.
At least bring you, it's like when the student is ready, the teacher appears. That saying, you know, basically,
they're listening to this podcast. The teacher
if you're
appeared.
ready to hear it,
exactly.
and you're ready to do it,
you're ready.
You are, you're ready. So do it.
Your higher self is not going to put you in dire straits.
It's not going to leave you hanging
unless you
on the branches.
are not very street smart, right? And that's on you. If you're not street smart, it's on you.
So if you are street smart, you probably are not a lone wolf at this point.
Precisely. You wouldn't do it alone in a room, right?
A group of mystics, or at least mystically inclined and
or spiritually inclined.
Spiritually inclined or trained individuals with open minds, willing to and able to look at this kind of thing
together
and
take turns cooking food and taking care of each other. Make sure you eat. And you make sure that at 8 o'clock or something at night, you close it, so that you can have a good night's sleep. And you pause it, right? You pause.
Yeah.
It's not going to close 100%, but
No.
you pause it.
Yes.
The intensity of it, you pause so that you can have a good sleep. And that's an order that you give yourself, and you carry it out.
So in the process of embodying a pure heart, you're doing physical body work, you're doing past life work, you're doing
World,
emotional body work, you're doing world,
society,
you're doing
culture,
trees,
probably
cultures,
family.
Gaia.
Yeah.
You can touch on pretty much a lot of everything.
Yeah.
You encompass the entirety of reality.
Yeah. But you don't have to do it all, If you have an affinity for, say, being a father, do that. Do that. Concentrate on
embodying pure heart,
divine masculine.
divine masculine.
And
that means discarding, clearing, processing, eliminating all of the dark influence on your
fatherhood.
Center around fatherhood.
Yeah.
In this life or in past life. Physical.
Yes.
What about your soul?
Yes, too. Yeah. Some
Soul.
things are physical, some things are the souls.
But I guess it doesn't really matter.
No, it doesn't.
Just
You have to do
acknowledge
both.
they're more than just
Yeah, you
one
have to do
bit
both.
of one thing. There's an all-accompaniment of everything.
Yes. Yes.
Small task. Just clear everything in all bodies, in all times,
Yes.
all places.
Yes. That's it.
Just that.
Yeah.
Okay, no problem. Yeah. Okay.
And be aware that if you start getting triggered, if you start saying, I'm postponing it, I'm going to do it later, I'm going to do this, whatever, those are all just firewalls. These are part of the programming to keep the dark paradigm going in your heart.
Right.
Keep the darkness going in your heart.
Those are
or believes that all my suffering and pain and everything is good for me because they make me strong or whatever. It's bullshit. That's all bullshit. It's bad stuff. Pain doesn't make you strong. It just dims your light. That's all it does.
Starting to get a little stormy, honey.
Yeah, we're close to home, so
the sneeze is coming.
Yeah, so
Guy's having a sneeze.
Well, I
think she's drenching the continent with Ganges water. Remember?
Yes, blessing the Americas.
The continent with the water from the Ganges.
At least North America. I don't know about Central or South, but definitely North America is being blessed by the sacred waters of the Ganges.
That's so fascinating. Isn't that beautiful?
It is really beautiful, yeah.
Beautiful something. Okay, so that it almost leaves me speechless, Like, I don't know what to say about that.
Do you feel complete, darling? Or just overwhelmed?
I feel like I wanted to look at a couple of things, and you touched on it at the very end there, and that was basically the things that stop you from doing it are the chicken scratches. That's the things that are holding you in from embodying a pure heart.
Yes.
Are chicken scratches. Mm-hmm. Basically, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And they took your attention for a purpose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that purpose was to keep you engaged in light-dark reality.
Yes.
And as you've chosen to embody light reality, a new paradigm, one of the major components of embodiment of the new paradigm, light frequency, is the embodiment of pure heart.
Yes.
And so define pure heart through this process of joining with your tribe, maybe, and looking at the words, definition, what it means, and eliminate from your heart that which isn't light.
Yes.
through a process.
Mm-hmm.
And the process you used was sitting.
Yep.
And it took you 5 days,
Yes.
6 days, something like
Yes.
that. And in that time, you personally examined this, a day of religion, you had sex, you had, what other things?
The
Your
environment.
past lives of your environment.
Yes.
No, not past lives, the environment.
Yes.
Environment and sex and religions,
Family,
family,
society, the earth, like water,
water,
grass and trees and bugs and animals.
And in the process of doing that, you found bundles of low frequency energies.
Yes.
Is that how I would say it?
Yeah.
And maybe if you're Catholic, what would you say? You found bundles of sin?
Sin, yeah. Sin, yeah, probably.
And if you're Hindu or any other word that might...
Karma, maybe.
Karma, yeah. Karma would be a good one, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you find those, and then you process them using
Yes.
your fear processing technique,
Yes.
essentially replacing fear with whatever it is that you're processing.
Yes.
Could be a dark bundle of rape, maybe, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or raper, or a dark bundle of harm to your environment or something
maybe.
like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Or your family. Or...
You process it,
Uh-huh.
and you released it from tying you to the dark light paradigm anymore,
Right.
in a sense. Am I getting it right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So our task, if we accept it, isn't that what they say in the minute, whatever that? Our task, your task, if you accept it, is to embody a pure heart.
Yes.
And this is a way.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think there are other ways?
I have no idea, but this is the way that I did. I don't know if there's other ways. Probably, right?
I don't know if there is or isn't.
Yeah.
I'm just curious.
Yeah.
And so this embodiment of
that's
pure
not-
heart, is it embodying my pure heart, our pure heart? How is this our type of act?
But what we're now described it was both, right? Both
Right.
the me and myself, the stuff that I was holding, but also the stuff that we hold as the planet, the trees and the plants and the grass and the water, and
So
also what we hold as society and religion and education and families. So it's both.
So it's basically looking at things without separation involved.
Yeah.
So it's like not that somebody did it to me or something, but it's like
What does
this
that generate
is
inside of you that makes it still be there?
stick.
Yeah, exactly. Why is it stuck there? What's it make it sticky?
Right. So in the past, however many thousand years, the sticky was to hold you in the light dark paradigm.
Yes.
Because that's what you want.
That's why you put it there.
That's why it's there. Why you put it there. Now,
It's time to
removing
release it.
is an active process also of remembering, looking, processing.
Yeah.
Okay. Good marching orders. I think I got it.
All right, cool.
And anything that tells you, wait, do it later, do it later, do it later, that's your old stickiness.
Yes, that's the
So
stickiness. Part
don't
of the stickiness.
do that.
I want to do it later. You're welcome here.
Yes.
And you start processing it. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, got it. I think I feel complete.
Perfect.
Love you, honey.
I love you, darling.